I'm alive, the Rams are alive, and we are back. This is RamView.
It's hot out there, but let's blow them off the line of scrimmage. Headline, Los Angeles.
Live from the Ram Cave, I'm Joe Tarosian, and this is RamView, the December 9th, 2023 edition, a special Saturday edition, brought to you by Kistler Law Firm. Injured in an auto accident, need help, got questions, call Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. That's Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. And check out KistlerLawFirm.com. That's one word, KistlerLawFirm.com. Kistler Law, they've been fighting for you since 92. Believe me, I know what I'm talking about. And by Temple City Auto Repair. Having some auto issues, get yourself some John and Henry at TempleCityAutoRepair.com. And of course, by Granite Ridge Christian Camp, a place where your life can change. Okay, we're getting in a special Saturday show. I don't expect too many live viewers today, but people were live with us on Wednesday when it was the last section of the show in the On This Date in History, Ram history, when my daughters came into my office and told me my wife had been hit by a car. I did do a brief 2-minute note on Thursday morning, letting you guys know she's okay. Our friend Tim Burns says everything's about inches and ankles, and really it was about inches and ankles. My wife got away with just a broken toe, but then everything else kind of comes into play. From there, we feel very blessed. We feel like we received our Christmas miracle early, because it could have been so much worse. Sorry for the fear. Sorry for the shock. It was wild. It was a wild night that night. And I know I was looking at an empty seat for an hour. I thought I had clicked off, folks, and I didn't. So I apologize. So there's my opening for today. But let's get into this Ram stuff and everything else that's taking place. We're going to zip through today because it's Saturday and it is an awkward day, kind of, right? You know, I usually go Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So cruising around, looking for stuff. I saw that David Carr, brother of Derek Carr, the former Houston Texans quarterback, who really got banged into shell shock pretty much playing for those early Texan teams, he's predicting a Rams upset in Baltimore. I'm glad he found it because I didn't, but I'll take it, right? And if the Rams can win in that muck that's expected in Baltimore tomorrow with the weather and the rain, we can enjoy the rest of Sunday. If it doesn't happen, then we need to be really focused on the Vikings and the Packers and the Seahawks, and we'll talk about those games later. What we didn't get to talk about on Friday was Patriots-Steelers. You guys have read everything going on there. I'll just give you a couple of quick thoughts, and we'll move forward. I'm convinced Steeler fan Rob's not going to like this, but I'm convinced that Mike Tomlin is Jeff Fisher, right? +2. Jeff Fisher +2. Well, Fisher is the poster coach for 7-9 Bolshoi. Tomlin seems to be the poster coach for 9-8 and a winning record. Since his last Super Bowl appearance against Green Bay, I believe that was Super Bowl 45. I'm not sure. I think that's what it was. The Steelers are 3-7 in the playoffs, losing 4 in a row. Since Super Bowl 43, they've missed the playoffs 6 times in 14 seasons and have won 9 or 8 games 7 times. That's really good, but to me, that's just 2 games better than Jeff Fisher. Would I rather have Mike Tomlin than Jeff Fisher? Yes. But when you look at that Steeler talent, look at it. Just when you look at it, I don't like George Pickens' body language. I think he's more me than team. But you look at him, Deontay Johnson, you look at their running backs. Yeah, you know, at some point you got to put it together. You could have signed Carson Wentz and you'd have been better off than what you are right now. And if you're not thinking in Pittsburgh, if you're not thinking we need a quarterback, I was thinking at the end of last year you had found a guy, but Kenny Pickett doesn't look like the guy. And I wouldn't want to risk, again, the window for some of these players that you're going to lose, right? And also, you know, every week there's a little TJ Watt ding up or something like that. Highsmith was out. Cam Hayward's getting older. Minka Fitzpatrick, who called out his team in a marvelous way, saying, hey, you just can't put on the black and gold and expect to be a Steeler. You have to want it. You have to put in the work. And I like him, but now as a safety, he's had some mileage on him, and the window is now. And so I understand being patient and everything, playing for the long game. But if the long game is a perpetual 9-8, 8-9, 10-7, and a first or second round exit in the playoffs every single year because you don't have the quarterback to get over the top, then you need to be making decisions right now. You got a Super Bowl defense, and you got an offense that has all the pieces to go deep into the playoffs, and you're fiddling around with your quarterback. My goodness, go sign Charlie Batch, right? Go see if Terry Hanratty has any time left, right? Go find Cliff Stout, because that was bad on Thursday night. And it was against who? Drum roll, please. The Patriots. Speaking of which, if you're a young quarterback, would you want to play for crusty Bill Belichick and his OC O'Brien? Would you want to play for those guys? Those guys are just perpetually angry, right? It's not an age thing, right? I think players would love to play for Pete Carroll. It's not an age thing. It's just a connection thing. And I don't know, Bill Belichick, there's just nothing inviting about him. I don't think I'd want to go there. And I pity the dude that does if there's not a major overhaul there in New England. The New England staff is just too grumpy. It's too inbred. And yeah, they've got problems there, and they need to straighten them out quick. Getting to the Rams stuff, hey, Mason Crosby, we talked about it on the air on Wednesday. He was 25 of 29 last year. He missed one outside of 40 and then 3 beyond 50, but he did hit a 56-yarder. His career long is 58, 37 of 39 PATs. Pretty good for a guy drafted in the 6th round out of Colorado. And it was just announced this morning that he'll be activated, which is a good thing. Because if you're going to make the move, especially if the weather's going to be sloppy tomorrow. I think if the weather is sloppy tomorrow, I think it helps the Rams. And it kind of slows down the Ravens. And you'd hate for it to come down to a field goal in the rain with a kicker who has no history. But with Mason Crosby, there is a history. He can still kick, and we know if he misses one, it's just a bad kick, right? He's not going to get the yips, right? And so, yeah, good move, Mason Crosby being activated. Tyler Higbee is doubtful. And that brings into question, what are the Rams going to do at tight end? Is it going to be Hunter Long, Davis Allen? Bryson Hopkins seems to be out of the mix. So that'll be interesting to keep an eye on, especially when you think about depth. And we were all for the Rams drafting a tight end. They did draft Davis Allen. It's going to be interesting because tight end's a real legitimate weapon nowadays. I know we like the tight ends that can block. It's hard to find guys who can do both, same with receivers. But again, they extended Higbee, and none of us understood why they extended Higbee. Speaking of depth, that's the thing that the Rams have seemed to come to enjoy here on defense. You look at the safeties, Jordan Fuller, Johnny Johnson, Russ Yeast, Quentin Lake. The Rams have some real depth there. Quentin Lake may not play. Russ Yeast stepped up in the slot corner position. Johnny Johnson's starting to look better. Jordan Fuller's looking better. And even Jason Taylor, the team obviously feels good about him because they brought him back and he's getting snaps. At corner, Witherspoon has been solid all year. I've been waiting. When we got to the midway point, I thought somewhere the banged up Akilla Witherspoon's going to show up, but I was wrong, and Witherspoon's been playing really well. Darian Kendrick, who, they talked about his legal update, everything getting squared away there. It sounds like he knows what he did, and he's being a good soldier and just doing what needs to be done and not letting those other things interfere. I'm not going to take a back seat on Kendrick. I like Kendrick from the get-go. He's just a guy that needs to learn how to play in the NFL. I think some of those pass interference calls were jokes. We know that. The NFL's a joke this year when it comes to officiating. And I think it's a joke because there's so many cameras. I know you'll hear everyone from Colin Cowherd, everyone say, we say the officiating sucks every year. But there's so many cameras on the NFL. And we see how many times they get it wrong and how many times things could be corrected. And the pass interference rule is archaic, and they need to adjust that. I can handle Kendrick getting schooled by DK Metcalf like he was in week 1. Where I have a hard time with Darian Kendrick is just the personal fouls, right? The personal fouls, and he's a target right now. He's an easy flag for the refs. We want Kobe Durant to be healthy. The Rams do like THT, but there's talent in front of him. So there's some depth there. Along the front, Aaron Donald, the conductor, Kobe Turner, Jonah Williams, Bobby Brown, they've all played well. Of course, to say Aaron Donald's played well, that's like saying that, yeah, The Godfather is just a good movie, right? We know how great Aaron Donald is. And Turner has been an amazing surprise, leading all rookies with sacks. We brought that up with Byron Young a few weeks ago. And so the Rams are getting huge clicks out of that third round of this year's draft. But they've also brought in Larrell Murchison, and DeJuan Johnson has been getting snaps. And so there's some real depth. It's at linebacker where things get tricky for this Rams defense. Byron Young and Michael Hoyt, they got banged up knees, and behind them, there's not much yet. Ochoan Mathis looks promising, but we don't know. Nick Hampton, you haven't seen anything out of him since the beginning of the season, and even then, you just saw a guy taking snaps. Ernest Jones has been terrific, but if anything happens to him, we're back to Troy Reeder, Christian Roseboom, and Jake Hummel. So I can see the Rams doing an investment in an off-ball linebacker this offseason. And unless Mathis can really turn something up, I think they'll be looking for another edge guy probably in the draft. I think they like Byron Young. I think Byron Young's hit a wall. His knee is sore. His pressures have gone down since before the bye. And so keep an eye on that. Playoff picture, we've talked about it. Minnesota, Green Bay are in the top spots. Then you got the Rams and the Saints. They're all these teams are 6-6. Rams, of course, have the tiebreaker over not the Saints, the Seahawks, who are 6-6. Saints are 5-7. And then you got Green Bay as the tiebreaker over the Rams. So, you want to keep your eyes on the Vikings playing the Raiders, the Packers playing Tommy DeVito and the Giants, and then, of course, Frisco and Seattle. Frisco could really help us by getting Seattle off our heels with a loss here. But Green Bay, the Giants are playing a little bit better with Tommy DeVito. We'll see. Maybe but Green Bay's hot, and the Green Bay after the Giants gets the Bucks, then the Panthers, the Vikings, and the Bears. Minnesota has the Raiders, the Bengals, Lions, Pack, and Lions again. All right, around the NFL and other places, this was the one that kind of came in on Friday. They got me churning a little bit, got my blood boiling a little bit, but the word broke on Sean McDermott and his 9/11 comments in 2019. Sean McDermott, head coach of the Buffalo Bills, made some 9/11 comments in what year? 2019. That was before the pandemic, right? That was before the world was turned upside down. And it's a classic example of the KBM. What is the KBM? The Kiss Butt Media wanting to take somebody down. The Bills should be rethinking Dermott the way the Buccaneers reconsidered a very successful and winning Tony Dungy back in the day. But in the 9/11 comments, anyone using those to try to bring McDermott down is just terrible. And those comments basically centered around how all these hijackers were executing their plan in sync and to perfection, to accomplishment. Maybe it's not the best, but to his team in 2019, he apologized for that analogy. But everyone gets all uptight, and then, of course, the rest of the KBM wants to run with it. And the fact that they want to run with it's an absolute joke. Anyone even making comments about it's an absolute joke in terms of trying to well, he should have been better. I don't know. It just tells me something about the KBM. It tells me about the level of human being you're dealing with. And I know these people, folks. I brushed elbows with them. The higher you go up in the food chain, the more despicable you find people. The lower level, not so much. There's a lot of love there. But the people in the upper area, it's so competitive, and anything, you get a scalp, right? I guess that's PC, or not politically correct. They want another head on the mantle, someone they got, right? There is plenty to bag on the Buffalo Bills about. There's plenty to bag on Sean McDermott about, right? He's the new Marty Schottenheimer, Chuck Knox. We've talked about that. This proves again what I say is it proves the laziness of the KBM. They're going to reach for something and run with it because it's going to get them clicks and get them attention. And this happened in 2019. So for the offended, can you remember this? What happened in 2009? 10 years before, a joke was made in 2009 that all of America laughed at, right? All of America thought it was funny. I have never seen this comment removed on any TBS showing of this movie, let alone any place else I've ever seen it, and I've never heard a complaint. In 2009, in the movie Hangover, when the Wolfpack, it's on its way to Vegas, one of the lead characters says everyone got all sensitive. Maybe after 9/11, when everyone got all sensitive, thanks a lot, Bin Laden. And I guarantee you the reporters and the KBM, who are all coming after McDermott now, all laughed at Zach Galifianakis' line, maybe after 9/11, when everyone got all sensitive, thanks a lot, Bin Laden. They all thought it was hilarious. But they're such virtue signaling scumbags that they want to tear somebody down. Hypocritical much? Just something to keep in mind. 2, Caleb Williams, we talked about that sitting out the Holiday Bowl. Jaden Daniels is high on the Heisman list. And of course, there's Drake May. And I'm not high on Daniels or Drake May. But again, looking at some of these stars, Marvin Harrison Jr. Has mentioned that he's thinking about staying in school, making the NIL money as opposed to entering the draft. And I thought about it. Like, he's going to make big money in the NFL. He'll make big money. I totally understand why he'd go, right? But it does give you some thought here. In the NIL age, he's going to make $5 million, probably, maybe more. If he agrees to stay, he might make more. But he's going to play 14 games tops, right? Maybe just 12 if Ohio State can't beat Lou Holtz next year and don't make it to the playoffs, right? The Buckeyes in 2024 play Southern Miss, Western Michigan, Marshall, and Michigan State. There's no heavy hitters there the first 5 weeks of the season, and they've got a bye. Then they get Iowa, they go to Oregon, and another bye. Nebraska, then they get Penn State, and then they get kind of buys playing Purdue, Northwestern Indiana, and then, of course, they finish the season in the shoe against Michigan. That's roughly, 4 games? If they make the playoffs, maybe be more, but that's roughly 4 games where he's really going to have to perform. Saves his body, makes some dough, right? Works on his graduate degree, or finishes his degree. I could see it a little bit. I really can. And you could always take an insurance policy out, right? He's got the money for an insurance policy. I could see it. Why leave early? Get your body get banged up. You got 2 buys. You got Southern Miss, Western Michigan, and Marshall. His body's not going to be taxed. Something to think about. Jaguars in one game on this week lost both Trevor Lawrence and Christian Kirk. That's something to keep an eye on. Robbie Gould is officially retired, which in speculation. Well, that speculation ended when the Rams signed Mason Crosby, but there were people arguing, even on this show, saying that the Rams should go after Robbie Gould. He's officially retired. And the Chiefs get Nick Bolton back. They've activated Nick Bolton, and he'll be in playing this Sunday. Okay. I am Joe Tarosian. And guys, if you're having any issues, I'm reading my volume. This was an issue on Wednesday. I'm reading my volume. My volume signs are coming out great. If you guys got a problem, leave a comment. Let me know. But I'm Joe Tarosian, a sports writer for 21 years. And now I get to do RamView thanks to our sponsors at Kistler Law, fighting for you since 92. And again, I know what I'm talking about now. And Temple City Auto. And I write books now. And that's what I do. And the books and our sponsors allow me to stay employed as a pastor. I pastor a very small church in Burbank Faith Nazarene, as well as you can find us online with Burbank Faith Virtual right here on YouTube, as well as other places across social media. I was one of the founding members at Mid-Valley Sports, wrote for several websites as well as Mid-Valley Sports. And those guys that I worked with are now in the NFL covering the Chargers. I get to talk Ram football. So that is my blessing here. Okay, looking at the Rams on the backside here. Higbee, neck stinger, very doubtful. Nakua looks like he's going to play. Hoyt and Young got knee issues, but they're expected to play. They're questionable. They look like they're going to play. No news on Kobe Durant. I wish I'd heard something about Kobe Durant, but we have not heard anything new there. Okay, week 14, Rams, Ravens. It's already week 14. You know, I woke up this morning on Saturday and there was no real football game I wanted to see. And I'm thinking, oh man, it's starting to happen already. These days and these weeks now start to become precious, right? They start to become precious. And, the USFL and XFL, no matter what they do, just doesn't exactly replace that precious feeling of watching competitive football. Okay. Rams Ravens, December 10th, 2023. Ravens lead the series 5 games to 3. The Ravens, we thought they would be 8-4. They're 9-3. We brought all that up on Wednesday. I like this game better than I did on Wednesday because I like the idea of rain. It rains on everybody. It rains on both sides of the field, right? The Ravens are used to playing in weather, but you know what? So is Matt Stafford all those years in the NFC North, playing in Chicago, playing in Green Bay. He's been exposed to that stuff. And then Mason Crosby, right? If this game gets really nasty and ugly, slips, slides, fumbles, turnovers, not a lot of points scored, it could come down to a kick. And where I was thinking maybe Lucas Haversick would stick around for another week in this weather, Crosby, history of kicking in Lambeau, all kinds of conditions, you get the feeling that, he gives you a better chance. So I'm not as doubtful as I was. I didn't even give a prediction on Wednesday because the show ended so abruptly, but we'll get to it. Marlon Humphrey is coming back from an injury. They got great safeties, Marcus Williams, Kyle Hamilton. We talked about Roquan Smith and Patrick Queen, Kyle Van Noy, and Jadeveon Clowney. Now, here's the interesting thing about Clowney. Clowney's going to be Alaric Jackson's responsibility. And I think Clowney, who's not a great player, Clowney's a good player having a really good year, 8 sacks. We know Myles Garrett's off the chart. Myles Garrett is at Aaron Donald level. And we're going to find out how banged up Myles Garrett was last week. I think he was really banged up, and that's why Alaric Jackson looks so good. We need Alaric Jackson. Alaric Jackson needs to have a good game against Jadeveon Clowney. Clowney's in his 10th year now. He's bounced around all over. He's never become the guy that everyone thought he would become. I think when he broke in, it was expected he was almost going to be what we view Micah Parsons as now. He's never been that guy. He's been a solid guy. Really, if Alaric Jackson has turned a bit of a corner, we're going to see it with Jadeveon Clowney. We're going to see it there, and that could be a key part of this Rams game. Again, Matthew Stafford's played in bad weather. I'm not worried about him throwing the ball in bad weather, and they say the thumb is getting better by the week. The Ravens can run the ball. That's where they're going to hurt the Rams. And when their offensive line is healthy, and of course it's healthy. But I think, again, in the rain, I've always thought, I know people like to get all on the Lamar Jackson bandwagon. Lamar Jackson is a very competent passer. Lamar Jackson's not Matthew Stafford. And so curious to see how it all plays out along the line of scrimmage and where Jackson stings the Rams. Because I think, OBJ, we know what OBJ is. He's going to be primed for a big game this week. But again, the traction, the rain, that's going to affect things. Zay Flowers is really good, 58 catches. Rams like Zay Flowers in the offseason. But again, I don't know if it's that killer. I think the Steelers receiving core is far better than the Ravens, especially when Freiermuth is healthy. But they don't have Mark Andrews. So I remember sharing that I had this dream that I never dream about Ram games, but I had this dream that Jackson was rolling right and he tried to throw back across his body and Kobe Durant intercepted it. And I remember the score being, because you can't really see numbers in your dreams. They said it was 28-21. And, I don't want to get worked up about this game. I want us to steal this game, but I don't know. I just don't see a path. I'm going to go with the score of my dream and say Ravens 28, Rams 21. The Ravens are a very good team, and they need to win now The Rams window is starting to open, will be open next year, but I don't know if it's open right now. So the important thing will be getting everyone out of Baltimore healthy, right? If you can't steal a win, then the next best thing is everyone getting out of Baltimore healthy, and then hoping the Raiders can beat the Vikings, the Giants can beat the Packers, 49ers beat the Seahawks. And if the Panthers want to beat the Saints, we'll take that too. And the Falcons want to beat the Buccaneers, we'll take that too. If Rams fall to 6-7, then they don't lose any ground if these other teams lose. So yeah, I'm going to go 28-21. I was more fearful, but I think the weather will play a part. And I think the lower the score, I think the better chances for the Rams. That's just how I see it, because I think our defense has played well. Okay, Falcons, Buccaneers. Thank you, Bill. I do appreciate you for clicking on and sharing that. Thank you so much for asking about my wife. My wife is doing good, and we went for a follow-up today, and we're blessed. You know, she got hit in the thigh, and there's no damage there. Everything's fine. It could have so easily been a busted leg, a popped hip, and it just turns out it was a big toe. She got hit, and she went down, and the car stopped. Praise God, the car stopped. Good man, stopped and everything. But he stopped on my wife's foot, and that smashed her toe and everything, you know. But we were blessed. Thank you for your prayers, guys. Let's look at Sunday. I got the Falcons over the Buccaneers. Let's give the Falcons the NFC South. Hooray. And let's get the Buccaneers. Let's not get the Buccaneers get that 6th win. Lions, Bears. I'm leaning Lions in that one easily. Colts, Bengals. You know, everyone's going to be up on the Bengals right now because Jake Browning's playing well, and no one really knows how Shane Streichen's doing it with Gardner Minshew. The game is in Cincy. I was leaning towards Cincy, but I'm going to go with the Colts. I'm going to go with the Colts in this one. Jaguars, Browns. No Trevor Lawrence, no Christian Kirk, no victory. I'm going with the Browns and the resurgent Joe Flacco. Panthers, Saints. Someone actually picked the Panthers. Who was it? Somebody prominent picked the Panthers. They say the Saints suck. It looks like it's Jameis Winston. I would love that if the Panthers could win, but at home, I'm going with New Orleans. You know, it's only been 18 years since Katrina, and this city could use a shot in the arm. The Texans, Jets, going with the Texans. Vikings, Raiders. Man, we need this to happen, right? We need the Raiders to do us a favor, huh? Do us a solid, huh? Can you do us a solid out there in Vegas, Raider Nation? Seahawks, 49ers. The only reason I think the 49ers would lose this would be out of spite to the Rams, but they're not going to do that. I hope the Seahawks are physical. I hope they put some hurt on the 49ers, but we need the 49ers to win. I want essentially if the Seahawks lose and the Rams pull out a win, the Rams will be 7-6. Seahawks will be 6-7. But with the tiebreaker, it's basically a 2-game advantage over the Seahawks, and that would be a nice buffer for the Rams to have. Chiefs, Bills. I'm going with the Chiefs and Nick Bolton back and the defense being better. And the Broncos, Chargers at SoFi. Broncos are going to win that one. The MVS boys will be out there for that one. They'll let me know the mood in the room when the Broncos beat the Chargers. I think they're getting Joshua Palmer back, though. I do like Joshua Palmer. Sunday night, Eagles, Cowboys. I want the Eagles to win. Of course I want the Eagles to win. But I think what's going to happen is I think the Cowboys are going to win. And I think the Cowboys are going to win by a couple touchdowns. And if it happens, I don't want it to happen, but if it happens, everyone's going to be talking Super Bowl. And then I think the Cowboys are going to get stung in the playoffs. It's because it's the Cowboys. That's what's going to happen. Monday Night Football, we don't need two. I got a sneaking suspicion there's going to be a Beth Moen sighting or listening. I don't want to hear that. Hopefully it's for the Dolphins and Titans. And Dolphins are going to beat the Titans. Packers, Giants, that's a big one. We got until Monday night to see where the Packers stand with the Rams. Okay, on this date in history, not much here, but in 1938, a guy that ended up playing for the Rams and making the Hall of Fame was born. Deacon Jones, who passed away in 2013, would be 85 today. Jones was a 6'5", 272-pound defensive end, drafted in the 14th round, 186 overall in 1961 out of Mississippi Valley State. They went back because the sack was not an official stat, but the NFL and others have gone back unofficially and looked at the films and everything. and have assigned sacks to those seasons prior to 1982. So in his 11 seasons with the Rams, Deacon Jones 3 times had over 20 sacks. 6 times he had over 15 sacks, and 8 times he had double-digit sacks in 11 seasons with the Rams. Just something to think about there. Of course, a Hall of Famer. He eventually went to the Chargers for 2 years, and then he played his last year, reunited with George Allen in Washington, and he actually got to kick the ball. I think kicked an extra point in his last game. Deacon Jones was a Hall of Famer. Deacon Jones had a really good autobiography that's hard to find right now. It's called Head Slap. I read that. It was a good read. And he passed away. You love hearing him commenting. You just loved hearing him commenting, and you loved hearing about his relationship with George Allen. And especially when you heard others trying to say and paint George Allen as racist, it was Deacon Jones that presented him posthumously at the Hall of Fame. Deacon Jones, pretty interesting player. Tomorrow, December 10th, I thought it was interesting, and I couldn't go into great detail on it, but the Rams waived former USC fullback Mosi Tutupu. Does anyone remember Mosi Tutupu? Mosi Tutupu was a fullback at USC, I think, through 77, and he's just a good guy, special teamer. You never thought he'd have a long career. This guy played in the NFL for something like 12 seasons, most of them with the Patriots, and he had a brief dance with the Rams at the end of his career, of course, reunited with John Robinson. But it was on this day tomorrow, December 10th, that Mosi Tutupu was waived by the Rams and officially released the day after that. Okay, I think we got this in. I feel a lot better. All right, let's see here. Dan, I'm glad things turned out well the other night. Thank you so much. Do you see the Rams signing offensive lineman Kevin Dotson? You know what? The Rams have money. The Rams have money next year, and I know they haven't. Everyone was on their case for not spending, was it 8 rocks a year for Austin Corbett? But I'm going to tell you, Austin Corbett was competent. Austin Corbett wasn't great. He was good. You won a Super Bowl with him. Brian Allen was a good center. He still is a good center. You could win a Super Bowl with him, but, not great. He lost his job to Coleman Shelton. So I'd like to see, because it's not my money, as long as it's not above market, let's re-sign Kevin Dotson. But, Kevin Dotson's going to get offers, and that'll zoom him up. And I don't want to pay tackle money to Kevin Dotson. I just don't. The thing that fascinates me is that, he's going to be 10 rocks, 12 rocks maybe. I wouldn't want to go beyond 12 rocks. But what fascinates me is Coleman Shelton, Bill or Dan, is because Coleman Shelton is going to be in his last year of his contract next year. He's going to make $1 million. That's it. And Coleman Shelton's been competent, right? We can't speak bad about Coleman Shelton. But Steve Avila played a lot of center in college. And I could see, and I heard there was speculation, he could move to center, which means the Rams could be spending another high draft pick for a left guard. That interests me too. But straight up, at this point, re-sign Kevin Dotson. I just don't want it for huge money and get the Rams hamstrung down the road. Yes, Bill, I saw that this morning too. The Rams have activated Mason Crosby to the live roster, and that's good. That's a good thing because maybe Haversick should have got another week or so. But I think with the bad weather, I think it kind of tightens things up a little bit, because the rain's on both sides of the field. And we know Crosby, all those years in Green Bay, has kicked in bad weather. And again, the other thing I said a few minutes ago, we know if Crosby misses a kick, it's just he missed the kick. It's not because something's in his head. When you saw Brett Maher, you knew there was stuff in his head. And the kid, Haversick, keep him on the practice squad. Give him a chance to develop, and then we'll see from there. I wasn't as down on Haversick as everyone else was, but I wasn't very comfortable with him with the Rams in a playoff run. If the Rams are in a playoff run, we want Mason Crosby. Adam Schefter is saying, we got that one. Oh, Steve Ramirez from the Tribune days, former sports writer. Did Shohei sign with the Dodgers or did he sign with Toronto? You tell me. I don't know. I was with my wife at a follow-up appointment this morning, so let me know what happened there. Bill, what was your opinion of Sean Gilbert's career? One season, really good, and I thought it was a disappointing career, but I think he was the one that was traded. I'll have to check my notes. Don't hold me to this, but I think I talked about this before. In the back of my head, it was his trade that I think put the Rams in line to get a top 5 pick. And I don't know if that was the Lawrence Phillip pick or if that ended up being another pick for that we turned around for Orlando Pace. But on the whole, yeah, I was disappointed in Sean Gilbert's career. I thought he had that one good season. I think he had a 1 year, 15 sacks, and then he was just very ordinary. It's kind of Kevin Carter was better, but Kevin Carter ran out of gas kind of quick too. When the Rams let him go, I'm thinking, no. And he had a good career, but it wasn't great. That's always been the thing here, right? Remember Grant Wistrom, right? Grant Wistrom, there's a couple years there for the Rams. You thought, oh, this guy's not bad. And then, it turned out to be just okay. So the Dodgers signed Shohei Ohtani for 70 rocks a year for 10 years. Dang, 700 million for 10 years. That's unbelievable. I guess Dodger fans are happy. I guess you're happy. Wow. That is a lot of bread, right? That is a lot of bread. And I think the Angels should have traded him, right? They should have found a way to trade him, and now they're left with nothing. A lot of it is deferred. Okay, so we're going to be here in 2051 saying it's Shohei Ohtani Day, and he's going to get his 1 year payment of $3 million or something like we do with Bobby Bonilla and the Mets. But can I just make a comment here? Play FanView instead of RamView. Oh, Bill Alajaji, thank you for clicking on. Can I play FanView instead and not RamView for a second? Doesn't this just make your heart break for Mike Trout? Other than maybe it's Mike Trout's fault, dude. This is one of the greatest ball players of all time, and it's not the Ernie Banks situation where he's stuck in Chicago and can't get out. It's not it's not one of these guys that never makes it, that never has a chance to play in these big games, right? It's a case of you have mobility as a player, but he stayed in Anaheim, and all these guys have come and gone. They did the 10-year contract with Pujols, and they brought in Ohtani, and there's been these other guys, and they come and go, right? And it just doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen. And so my advice to Mike Trout is have your agent say you'll renegotiate your contract down to bare minimum and get your keister out of Anaheim. It's a curse to be an Angel. Steve Ramirez, Angels should give Trout the Archie Manning treatment and trade him. It's tragic. It's almost too late right now because now the injuries are starting to pile up. And just do me a favor, though, Angels. If you send him to the Mets, don't ask for too much. I don't want to sell the store for Mike Trout because he is starting to fade a little bit. Okay. Guys, thank you so much for clicking on. Again, I thank you for sticking with us. I didn't think I'd go close to 40 minutes today, but I did. Thanks for sticking with me. Honor the way you guys all reached out to me. My wife is fine. It was a close call. Man, it was a really, really close call. Shout out to Kistler Law for reaching out to us because, that line in there, injured in an auto accident, have questions, need help. We were confused. You don't know what to do. I got to the scene and my wife is lying in the middle of the road, right there in the crosswalk, surrounded by strangers. And it was one of those, it's one of those moments you don't forget. And my family didn't know. My daughters who came into the room to get me, no one comes into my office when I'm broadcasting. Nobody. You do, you get the Jack Torrance treatment. I'm going to go ape on you. And so they were nervous because they didn't know. And I got there before the paramedics did. And it was just total grace of God. I think our good friend Tim Burns in NorCal, he said inches and angles. And it's so true. It was inches and angles. Okay, brothers, thank you so much for clicking on and for sharing. And anyone else that's clicked on new, we'll be all about football, all about the Rams as we get back together on Monday. God bless. Take care. And we will see you soon. And go Rams, huh? Go Rams.